I'm so good. Welcome, everybody, tonight. We interrupt our regularly scheduled book nook to bring you a very special report.
24 hours of madness it was.
Yes. So 1 week ago today, Pamela, you were thrown into an interesting and unique situation that you had never faced when you met with a potential adoptee and thought we were getting a happy ending, and then went on an adventure that took some turns, but I'm happy to say led to a different happy ending.
It did. Piper.
So tell us about Piper, because for those who are just tuning in and haven't heard anything, and I think even those who were watching the updates on Facebook and like, what's happening, there was a lot more that was going on behind the scenes than even what we were seeing unfold on the Facebook page.
Yes, it all happened so fast. Piper was adopted, and his family had made a stop, and as soon as he opened the door, Piper barreled out. And not only did Piper barrel out into an area that scared us to death, it was probably Muncie's busiest intersection. It was at McGalliard and Wheeling, and so I'm sitting there in the afterglow of another great placement, and which it was a great placement. We just underestimated little Piper and his ability to shoot right past people, and so he jumps out and sent the whole town on a wild goose chase. It was wonderful, Facebook, the support, because oh my gosh, we had over 1,000 shares, and a lot of people were tracking where Piper was, and it led us to his location. It was wonderful. We learned some do's and we learned some don'ts about the whole experience, and so that's the beginning of Piper's Great Escape.
Yeah, and so it really was amazing to watch on Facebook the amount of people who were saying, I saw him here, he's trying to come into my house. And there was almost so much information that it had to be a bit overwhelming for you. How long let's start with how long were you searching for Piper?
We searched for Piper from 5 o'clock. It was shortly after 5 when he escaped. We searched for him until it was unsafe to be spooking around people's backyards, because it was getting to be 11:30 at night, and dogs were barking, and I thought, this is not safe to be looking in people's backyards. We had several sightings of him, and he would be shooting through a neighborhood. The good news is he started staying off the streets. He was in a neighborhood. He was shooting through people's yards.
Okay.
One of the things, I could get into some do's and don'ts real fast.
Yeah.
Some of the things that went wrong that night is, I think it's a natural response, but when people would see them, they would become excited. And as we all know, animals can feed off of our energy. And when people saw Piper, it was like, there he is. And then there were flashlights on him, and he's like a deer in headlights. And there was one point where I was literally just like a few feet away, and he heard my voice. He was coming toward me, and all of a sudden all these flashlights went on him, and he just shot off, and understandably so. He couldn't see a thing. He was scared to death. So he took off, and we finally quit around 11:30 at night.
And you didn't get any sleep at all, did you?
No.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
I didn't. I didn't. It was so. We had a decent rain that night, It wasn't freezing cold, but it was colder than I wanted him to be out in. Um, the next morning, bright and and we had tons of people driving around as well. Thank you to everybody who joined in the search. There was food brought out. There were all these different tips of getting him out. There were neighbors that we didn't even know that were keeping their garage door open with little
Oh,
plates of. It was right after Thanksgiving, so everybody had turkey.
plenty of leftovers.
Plates of turkey out on their garage
Aw.
with the garage doors open. The next morning, should I get into the next morning yet, or no?
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, we kind of followed along with the evening, and then, like you said, it just wasn't safe anymore. And talking about, the do's and don'ts, obviously one of the big don'ts, right, is don't don't get super excited and shine a bunch of flashlights, which is complete opposite of what, if your pet is missing and you see them, you're going to be really excited. But even experts in behavior will say, like, what you're actually supposed to do is turn around and sit down,
Exactly.
right? But how hard is it when you see them to be like, I'm going to play it cool and just turn around?
Yeah, right. In the dark,
Yeah.
we're chasing him, and I was even guilty of feeling like I see him. I cannot give up. I know he's in this spot. I can't give up. Um, but you must fight your instincts and do that. And that's exactly what uh, what got him the next morning. Of course, as soon as it was daylight, we were out, and I had several of our followers that were already out in their cars looking for him as well. And one of our dear volunteers, her name is Dee Hale, she said, I'm going to go out. And I said, okay. I said, we are just getting back. We had been out in that same area, and we had feared he had moved on to a different area. And I felt like I feared she was wasting her time. I appreciated it, but I was afraid. We'd looked everywhere.
Mhm.
But he's just 10 pounds of fluff. So,
He
uh,
is, and he just joined us. So,
oh, hi, Shelley.
we're
So,
not to the part of the story where Shelley ends up being the big part of this happy ending, but we're going to talk to
Not
yes.
you in a
being
minute,
really
Shelley.
cooperate right now.
Hi, Piper. So the next morning, I get it right after Dee says she's going to go out and look for Piper. Um, I had just sat down after being out for a while, and the phone rang again, and it's Dee. And she said, I'm sitting here looking right at him. I said, oh my gosh, you're kidding me. She said, nope. I said, where is he? And he was on a dead end road in that same neighborhood. He hadn't gone far. And she said, he's just sitting here in the yard like he owns the place. And I'm like, stay with him. I said, what are you doing? She said, I'm sitting down. I'm sitting down in the road. And I said, I'll be right there. Um, because it was a dead end. There was no through traffic. So she was safe sitting down in the road. And so then I get there. We parked the block before, and I go sit down beside Deep, and he sees me, and he's not moving. And so, mind you, we had a rain the night before.
Oh yeah.
I'm scooting across the street as slowly as I could toward him in the sitting position, and I'm talking my baby dog, like, what you been doing? Where you been all night? And and I'm saying all this
Oh.
stuff, and he's just staring at me, and and then I finally get about 10 feet away from him, and he stands up and starts to walk. And I thought, is this where he bolts, or is this where he comes to me? And so I reach my hand out, and I'm still talking real soft and not moving anymore because I know he's moving. And he walked right to me. And then as soon as I grabbed him, oh my God, I threw my arms around him and I just sobbed. I
Oh.
was so happy. I was so happy. So that's what we did, and thank God we got him back.
Yeah. So he went home with you. And I think you were maybe a little concerned about, okay, we may have to like reset this guy. Like we don't know how much trauma that caused him being out all night, but he bounced back pretty quickly. As you can see, he's already in his forever home.
He did. I knew it would take about a weekish,
Mhm.
and that's about what it was. And and uh, and then Shelly steps into my life and starts texting me about Piper.
Oh.
And we made an appointment for Shelly to come see him. And it really was. He gave her a kiss on the nose as she got down. She did all the right things. She got down on her hands and knees and sat down with him. And I knew when he come up and give her a kiss on the nose
Look at that
that we might have
smile.
found a love connection.
Aw. So, Shelley, we are talking about, the Great Escape, and we should say that the person who was originally going to adopt Piper was absolutely wonderful, but realized that she was elderly, and if Piper were to get out and you didn't have this big community looking for Piper, it might not be best. So, when Pamela realized she was going to take Piper back home, it's kind of, like she had just had the joy of like, I've placed another dog, and we're going to get into the rest of the backyard breeder bunch that still need homes here in a little bit. But Shelley, had you seen Piper prior to the updates that were going on?
Yes, I
Okay.
did. And then I followed him, but then man, when I found out he got loose, when he got adopted, and I'm like, doggone it. And then I have some family members that are good friends with Pamela and the rescue, and then other friends, and oh my gosh, his escape was like the whole town of Muncie, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And so a person tagged me and said, I think he could be perfect for you. And I said, oh my gosh, he's beautiful. I was just about ready to give up on adoption for a minute, and I couldn't give up on this one. I just wouldn't give up.
Aw. Well, we're
And
so glad you did it.
he's being a little bit no, he's calming down now, but I've got my other dog over beside me nudging him in the rear end here. So, but he's
He
adjusting very well. He's timid at some things, but he's following our other dog in here, and they're getting into some mischief together. It's been a really fun day. It's been nice
Oh.
to, yeah.
Look at that smile. He's like, yeah, I'm getting into some mischief.
He
I've
drank
really
my
enjoyed
coffee
the
this
updates,
morning.
Shelley.
Well, Shelley, we appreciate you not giving up on Piper and
Thank
for
you.
being the happy ending in this story that Piper deserves so much. Pamela's going to give us an update and kind of tell us where this began. If some of you are just tuning in and maybe aren't familiar with the backyard bunch that we've been working on, Piper is a member of that bunch, and we still have several dogs just as deserving and loving as Piper who are looking for homes. We're very happy for you, Piper. As we can see, you are very happy.
He looks so happy. I'm just thrilled. I couldn't be happier for him. Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Shelley.
Thank you very, very much.
Look at that face.
Look at that. So, how is the rest of the crew doing, Pamela?
They're doing well. We do have a few adoptions that have already taken place. Goldie, the golden doodle, she has been placed into a wonderful home, and we just received a video last night of they have another golden doodle, and the two of them just frolicking around the yard. So
Oh, good.
she's got a playmate and happy as a clam. And
That is
then
so great because she was timid when you
she
got her.
she was timid, and she did really well at this well, they had weighed in. It was the Goss family. They had weighed in, and when we had Goldie on last time, she never showed. She showed a little bit of shyness, but she fit in really quickly over there. So it was another love connection.
Yay.
Bear, the chocolate lab, who was so frightened and having a hard time adjusting, he found a family that is well, first of all, Bear made quite a few strides, started walking well on a leash, and was starting to loosen up some before. And the family had come over a few times to meet him, which was very helpful. By the time they came and took him home, he walked right out with them on a leash. And so he was very happy. They even brought him a bed to sleep in while he was here before he went home. So Bear's been adopted. We have Coco, the senior chocolate lab. She has a pending adoption on Saturday. They're buying her toys. They're already shopping for her, and they cannot wait to have her home. So Coco's found one too. We also have Maggie. Maggie, the extremely shy one. She went to. She was the first one to find a home, and she went to a wonderful couple who will not give up on her. And Nathan has been amazing. Nathan, the indie dog whisperer, he has been in close contact with. Her name's Kim, and he's been in close contact with her about Maggie. And he even had Maggie, he would not let Maggie go to a safe spot to hide. He said, you got to keep him out of that. So he tethered her to Kim. And so everywhere Kim goes, Maggie now goes.
Aww.
And Maggie has made friends with Kim's other dogs.
Good.
So Maggie's doing well.
Good.
And
well, let's before we get to any more of the, because I know we got a couple more happy stories and we've got some that still need adopted, but I think it would be great to kind of show you. You mentioned Nathan. Nathan is the indie dog whisperer, and he really does amazing work in a very short amount of time. He is amazing. He can really help dogs kind of come into their confidence and also understand their place in your home. And I think it would be great. I think we have some video actually maybe of Nathan working with Bear.
Oh
yeah, I would love to show that, because it does show like the strides that these dogs have made.
Yes, let's take a look.
The privilege of being with Pamela Terhune today at this gorgeous place, Grateful Rescue and Sanctuary, in her home. And you said Bear needed some help. What is going on with him, and how can I help?
Well, thank you for being here, Nathan. Bear was part of a 15 dog breeder pack that was evicted and turned over to us, and he's extremely fearful. We did place him, but he was returned within a few days because he claimed the owner, who was a young lady, and growled and lunged at all the others.
Okay. And when you say all the others, you mean?
Well, the other dog in the household and the husband.
That's an interesting fact right there. You said the other dog. That means he really was claiming her. He was lunging at the other dog. Which brings up an important point, especially with rescues that are really petrified like this. The most important thing, and it's one of the things that I've been most burdened for when I'm working with shelter dogs, is people need to recognize when they take the dog, don't let your sympathy get in the way of your knowledge of what needs to happen to actually help them, right? People feel so sorry for them. They put them on their lap, oh baby, and they start this, well, what'll happen? You're okay.
Just like that, right?
You can do that to your husband. So what ends up happening is that you take a nervous dog, you give him something to possess or claim, now you give a nervous dog a job he can't handle. Now he has a
Gotcha.
job. He can't just rehabilitate. He has to watch out for somebody too. So now you have a nervous dog doing guarding behavior, and it's 10 times worse.
I get it.
Yeah. So there, and let me see. You said he hasn't been eating treats usually out of people's hands.
He's not very no,
Bubby.
he's not.
Good boy. Oh, there you go. See that little
Of
bit
course.
of, now see that? You see the little bit of look in his eyes, how he made eye contact? So I'm just going to hold off now. What I don't want to do is look at him and say, it's okay. See, because I'm doing this to him then. And he's like, right. So I'm just going to ignore and see if he wants to eat it, and then he'll eat out of my hand because I didn't make eye contact. See what I'm saying?
Oh, yes.
So he felt threatened by the direct eye contact. So the thing to do is not to convince him the eye contact's okay. It's to take the eye contact off and then offer what I'm offering to him.
Okay.
Yeah. It is a little bit of a different science. I always tell people, let your sympathy drive you to do what they need, not what makes you feel good in the moment with them. I know it's so hard because I feel so bad for them too. You have to communicate the energy to them you want them to have. If you want them to be calm, this is how you have to act around them. Like nothing's wrong. Instead of saying, it's okay, because all that makes them like this. You see what I mean? And then it's worse. So I'm thankful for your organization, what you're doing, because a lot of organizations, not only would they not hesitate to take one, but 15. I mean, you have one of the softest hearts and the most and teachable. I have found sometimes, maybe this is saying too much, but I have found, speaking of your dogs running the fence line out there, I have found that many times, once people start a rescue, that kind of thing, they kind of think they know how it should go, but I've always found you to be very open to other ideas, and that's huge. That's huge. Thank you so much for this opportunity. There are a variety of things that we can help Bear with. The most important, communicate the right energy, keep him on the floor level, and also adventure with him outside, and that will build rapport with him.
Yay. I mean, like, isn't that amazing how quickly he was like, oh, he will take the treat. You just don't make the eye contact with him. It's hard because it's learning a different language.
It is. It's very similar to what I was talking about earlier. Your natural instinct is like, oh, get the dog, and in people's hearts when they get these dogs and they're rescuing, they really want to rescue them. Their hearts are in the right place.
Yes.
They want to make everything better. They've had such a hard go of it, and that we want them to know, oh, that's gone now. Now all you got is love. But he has he made such a good point about opening your eyes and your arms and then putting him on task, like, oh, this is something I've got to do now. I've got to fill these shoes because that's what they expect.
Yes. Yeah. And then it puts more pressure on them. It's doing the opposite of what you want to do. It's actually stressing them out more.
Yeah. And it worked so fast. Nathan is amazing. I mean, I cannot believe how much he can change in just an hour or two session.
Yes. Again, he is the indie dog whisperer. You can look him up on Facebook, and you'll find all kinds of helpful videos. We have somebody asking. I want to get back to hear about. Amanda wants to know about Winston, how he is doing, and if Winston is still available. Winston has had a pretty interesting story, and he's captured a lot of hearts.
Winston is very special to me. Thank you, Amanda. Yes, he is still available. We have a couple applications on Winston. We're searching for the perfect fit. All of these dogs are flight risks at this point, and so we're asking applicants to have a nice, secure fence. Some even need a tall fence because dogs like Bentley can actually climb a fence. But
and who even knew that little Piper was going to be a flight risk? We weren't expecting that.
I never.
So yes, we need to really make sure with this backyard bunch that we've got those fences. So
it's a good lesson for any dog that you take home. You really don't know. They don't know you. They don't know that you're out to save them. For all they know, you're a dog catcher. They just don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know what's going on. So that fight or flight mentality can take over easily. But with this unsocialized group, most definitely they need a secure fence. Winston's a wonderful dog. I love him. He showed up in a crate that was so much smaller than he
He
showed up
was
in a
so
crate that
big. He
wasn't
shouldn't have
much
been in
bigger than
that.
Piper.
Oh, it was so sad. And I don't
Yeah.
know that I don't, I mean, I remember those first days just being unsure if, because even though it was so small, he would go back in it, right? Because
He
that was where he
would. We kept it in there for one day
okay.
because and I couldn't bear to watch it. And at first I realized that that's what he needed for himself. But even Nathan, we found out later, said take those secure spots away,
Yeah.
make them be forced to communicate with you. And Winston's come around. Winston's got a wonderful attitude. They're all still a little afraid, but Winston loves to be loved. He's funny because he'll circle around you, and then as soon as you make contact with him and scratch his back, he stops. And he's like, okay, that feels good. I'll just let you do that for a little bit. So he's got a very loving heart. And none of these dogs have an aggressive bone in their body. They're just unsocialized and fearful. So every one of them.
Let's talk about who is left. That we've got Winston that still needs a home. Who in the group is still up for adoption?
Winston's still up for adoption, and his two brothers, Enzo and Dash. They all three look alike. And Moose is still available. Moose is also their brother. There is Moose.
Oh.
And Paisley is available. Paisley is probably the most fearful that's left.
I love Paisley. What a just beautiful dog.
KJ, she's one of the most beautiful dogs I've ever seen. She and sweet. She just needs the right home. She's something else. I adore her. She and Moose are in the house with us right now. They are living with us inside, and so they're coming along very well. Let's see. Oh, and Bentley's the other one that still needs a home. So we're about halfway there. Oh, Bentley's not very old, but he's got an old soul face.
I was gonna say, yeah, he does. Well, you know what? He's been through a lot,
and he misses Maggie. He was with Maggie, and Bentley will do great. All of them will do great with a
companion.
Friend. Yeah,
good.
A companion. They all have gone to homes with other dogs, and they've all done very well with their new
good.
friends and brothers and sisters.
Good. Yeah. So it's really about, if you have it in your heart to rescue and you have the patience to understand and kind of follow some of those tips that Nathan was giving about doing what the dog needs and not necessarily what feels good to you. I think that we have seen with the dogs that have been adopted already that every single one of them, and it's really the mission of Grateful Rescue. Every single one of these rescues matters, and if you give them the right attention, the right love, the right atmosphere, they can go into a home and have a happy ending.
Absolutely, they're responding well to love.
Yes, there he is.
Well, hello, Piper.
Piper. Yeah,
I
the
think
dog
he hears
that
Pamela's voice.
Oh,
Piper. Beautiful fire in the fireplace. It looks so nice and cozy.
If you have any questions, it's fake? Yeah. Oh, I never would have guessed.
Me
wow.
neither.
Oh, is it on the TV?
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
It calms them all down.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I've seen that at Christmas morning. You could turn it on a certain direct TV channel and it's just a crackling fire.
Yep.
I love it.
I actually did that this morning because I was too lazy to get a fire going. And I was like, I just tucked it into my remote. I was like, show me a fireplace. And there it was. Doesn't give the heat that you want, but it sure gives a nice atmosphere.
It gives the ambiance, right?
I think that we covered everybody that is part of the backyard bunch, and we're so excited to see Piper here, so comfortable, so safe, and so happy. Jason, we're so glad.
Oh, thank you, Jason.
Piper is so loved and so safe. You can submit your applications now for any of the dogs that we have talked about as we continue to rehabilitate them and get them ready. Just like Piper, you can put your application in for the other dogs, and Pamela will get back with you when it is time to do placement when they all feel safe and they're ready to go. Just go to gratefulrescue.org. Pamela, I'm so glad that this Sunday was much less eventful for you and Shelley and Piper.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's a good Sunday. Thank you.
It is. And thank you all for watching. We appreciate your support. If adopting is not something that you can do right now, we appreciate any donations on behalf of the Backyard Bunch, as Pamela has really taken on, like Nathan said, a lot of rescues can't even take on one right now, and she didn't hesitate to open her heart and her home to 15, and we're halfway there and could certainly use the help with donations if you would like to support Grateful Rescue. Again, just go to gratefulrescue.org, and we will be back next week with another Book Nook. So thank you so much for watching. Shelley, Piper, thank you again for joining us. And Pamela, I'm going to let you wrap up the night.
I forgot to mention Sky and Max. They're still available.
Oh,
The
goodness.
two Huskies, and they have been separated, and they're doing just fine. At first, we were offering them as a bonded pair, but now they're doing just fine apart. And so, if you're interested in Sky and Max, they are ready to go. They are sweet as sugar, and oh gosh, they're very good dogs.
Those
I can't believe
Huskies
I forgot
they're a
them.
blast.
There's too
We won't
many.
tell them.
I'm trying to remember. I'm like a grandma trying to remember all the grandkids' names.
We won't tell them.
Yeah. But thank you all. Thank everybody involved in this whole adventure. We couldn't do it alone. I call it our village, and we appreciate every single thing. I mean, just from shares to food to donations to word of mouth, everything. We appreciate so much.
To sum it up, we are grateful.
We are grateful. Absolutely.
Grateful. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, guys, have a great night. We'll meet you back here next Sunday for another Book Nook.
Bye.